I'd like to call the Plaquemines Parish Council Audit Committee for June 8th, 2023 to order at 9 o'clock. Machines are open for roll call. All members are present. We'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Ronnie, you mind?
Yes, sir. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, first item.
2, new business. 2A, Flood Control Department internal audit.
Okay, to get started, on April 25th of 2023, I completed the Plaquemines Parish Government Flood Control Department internal audit. Let us turn to page number 8, I believe, under conclusions, the overview. The flood department's workforce should be maximized to ensure the safety of the parish. Pumping station repairs and maintenance should be performed in a timely manner. All old and obsolete machinery should be replaced quickly. From the documents and notes reviewed, it does appear that the Flood Control Department is monitoring their operations. In addition, the Corps of Engineers does review the Flood Department observations, and they note deficiencies in corrective action. Detailed conclusions. Formal day-to-day policies should be in place consistent for all operations of the Flood Control Department and pumping stations. Consider performing a quarterly risk assessment. The Flood Control Department does have documents and notes showing that operations are being monitored. The Corps, as stated previously, also monitors this department. However, there does appear some control documents that are in place but are not being used. See Section 5 under Audit Information and Analysis. The auditor did not find an elevated risk of fraud, waste, and abuse within this department. However, the risk of fraud, waste, and abuse does increase when documents are in place but are not being used. To improve operations, all document controls should be used. Written documents and notes should show the subject, purpose, date, management review, and approval. Flood Department's 2022-23 actual budgeted financial data does appear to be accurate. However, the auditor did note that the Flood Department had significant under-budgets in professional service expenditures and significant over-budget in diesel fuel expenditures during 2022. See observation number 5. Ensure that the public complaint forms are correct and complete. See attachment 1. Ensure Flood Department documents show that the agreed upon management recommendations, repairs, and maintenance work are documented, authorized, implemented, and are followed up on as per management instructions. Ensure that all purchases are competitively bid in accordance with parish ordinances, resolutions, the Louisiana bid law, best practice, and Louisiana procurement code. I would suggest that the Flood Control Department bid files contain the vendor selection scoring worksheet. Let us turn to page number 8, COSO Control Environment. Control environment is a set of standards, processes, and structures that provide the basis for carrying out internal control across the organization. The Board of Directors and Senior Management establishes the tone at the top regarding the importance of internal control, including expected standards of conduct. Observations based upon the documents provided by the Flood Control Department's management and other documents gathered by the auditor, the following observations were noted during this internal audit. Observation number 1 under policies and procedures. Formal, standard, consistent policies and procedures should be in place as stated above in the conclusions. Management response and amended procedures are being compiled. Observation number 2, operation controls, documents, and notes. Recommendations to provide a better understanding during the Flood Control Department document and note review. Documents and notes should show the subject, purpose, date prepared, and a management review. Notes could be in a memo format. Ensure that documents show the agreed upon recommendations, repairs, maintenance work authorized, implemented, and that follow-ups inspections were performed. In my opinion, to improve internal controls, the weekly update forms, daily description logs, operation logs, and the weekly station checklist should be used. See Section 5 under Audit Information Analysis. Management response, log, and checklist documentation will be addressed. Complaints. Recommendation, ensure the Flood Control Department public request forms - complaint forms are complete and that the complaints are resolved in a timely manner. Management response, action will be taken on this, but please note, the Flood Department is understaffed for office tasks. Risk assessment recommendation, consider performing a quarterly operational financial risk assessment. Management response, action will be taken on this. Observation number 5, budget analysis. Recommendation, consider making disclosure notes in the department budget book where there are large under budget or over budget cost center differences. The auditor received a good response from finance. However, the auditor would request additional information from the Flood Control Department. Management response, finance states, I would think that they had multiple pumps needed to be repaired for professional service costs. We did not have any storms or a lot of rain in 2022, so they did not need as much fuel as in other years to run the pumps. Flood control agreed with this, concurred. Observation number 6, department reports, drainage and fuel and flood control. Recommendation, ensure that these issues have been brought to the parish council and parish president for resolution. The flood department's workforce should be maximized to ensure the safety of this parish. Pumping station repairs and maintenance should be performed in a timely manner. All old and obsolete machinery should be replaced quickly. Management response, flood control, and make certain the administration has been informed. Duvik Empire Shipyards, observation number 7. Recommendation, ensure that the Duvik purchase has been competitively bid in accordance with parish policy, best practice, Louisiana bid law, and Louisiana procurement code. Here again, as stated above in conclusions, I would suggest as additional evidence, the Flood Control Department bid files contain the vendor's selection scoring document. Ensure the parish resolution, purchase documents, and the contract are executed in proper order. It appeared to me that the purchase documents were executed before the contract. Ensure the Empire Shipyards documentation clearly shows that agreed upon recommendations have been approved, completed in a timely manner as per management instructions. Most of the documents that was sent to me, the notes and the documentation that was sent to me, they were just, a lot of handwritten notes. They weren't formalized. You couldn't really tell, the purpose of the document. You couldn't tell who prepared the document. So what I'm trying to do is to get them to change that, put everything that they're putting in the file that's tracking these jobs in some sort of, like a memo format that shows the purpose, shows, who prepared it, shows, whether it was resolved or not resolved, whether they still need to do more work on it, rather than just from the documentation, you couldn't really tell what was going on with the operation. So that's kind of the reasoning behind this documentation issue that I have. Observation number 8, evaluations. They didn't have any.
Hold on, Mr. Kaganowicz, go ahead.
Yes.
Yes, in 21 or 22, the council voted to buy a new engine for the pump station in Boothville and voted to put $300,000 in the budget to install that engine. Did you see any of that
in your investigations?
I don't really remember. I'll have to look back and see if I did. I'm
Because,
sure that, they gave me such a bundle of information. I'm sure it's there somewhere. But like I say, the information that they gave me was very difficult to interpret. I had to do the best I could. But Mr. Kunovich, if you send me an email about that, I will look for it and see whether I addressed that or not, where it came to my attention, and whether it was resolved or what they did with that or what they plan on doing with it.
I know the engine showed up around April, and shortly after that, I found that the administration moved that 300,000 out of the pump station to the ball field back here. And I wanted to know how they could move money without the council voting to move the money.
Yeah, they
Because I had to go get the money from somewhere else to install the pump station, the motor.
that's the 300,000 that you and I have been talking about, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'll look into that.
Thank you.
Mr. Duke. So on number 7,
Number 7.
so it looks like they followed Louisiana bid law based on recommendation, maybe not best practices, but at bare minimum, they are in accordance with the law, correct?
Well, they only had one bidder for this.
Okay.
And to me, I think our parish policy is that you have to have at least 3 bids. Now, maybe that's all they
That's-
get
yeah,
within the
exactly.
parish, because the parish is so small, that's the only vendor that would do the work.
But they did send it out for bid, they did
Yes,
advertise.
they did.
Okay, so I just want to make sure
Yes,
that they are in accordance with the law, maybe not best practices, but,
Right.
and then really quick, going back to replacement equipment. A lot of they are trying to replace it, it appears like, but as you know, we don't have money for a lot of this, correct? So it's not like it's being neglected, it's just finding the funds, correct?
Yeah, that's basically it. I believe,
Okay.
I believe that's it, right. Now, that is putting, it's unfortunate we don't have the funding, but that's putting the parish at high.
I agree.
And I think this needs to be a priority.
Do they have a priority list for projects when funding does come available? Like, hey, this is priority 1, this is priority 2.
Did not see any.
Okay.
The Corps of Engineers put them all in, right?
Yes,
And I've seen in New Orleans, some of their pumps, the rust was so bad, the Corps of Engineers,
yes. I've got pictures of that too.
the Corps of Engineers are replacing those pumps at Corps of Engineers. So why aren't they fixing our pumps?
Yeah, that's a good question, but I do know they go in there, and it's, in some cases, they're doing what you're saying because it's so bad. But I'm not sure why, how they determine, their priorities, though. I'd have to,
But if they fix New
Contact
Orleans
them, I
pumps,
guess.
why don't they fix our pumps?
yeah, I'd have to talk to them about that, Mr. Konovich, and maybe they,
Thank you.
I'll see if I can come up with an answer for you.
All right, thank you. Go ahead and continue.
Yeah, the last one, those evaluations, I didn't see any civil service evaluation forms in the Excel format. That's the reason I brought this up. But they're telling me they are using them, and I've asked them to send me a copy, so we'll see what turns of that. The hurricane procedures, those, I think, need to be brought to the parish president and the council for review and approval, not just the director of operations. Like they're saying here, they're saying updated hurricane procedures are submitted yearly to the director of operations. I don't think that goes far enough. So that's just my opinion. So that concludes the review of the flood control department. But like I said, the data that they sent me on a flash drive was a huge amount of data. Huge. I couldn't believe it when I saw it. And I worked on it for quite a while, trying to make heads or tails out of the little notes, that they were making to try to track what was going on with their project. So I just think they need a lot of improvement with that.
So going from that to one of your the public request form.
Yes.
So, from my, 5 months on the council, it seems like we need to improve, again, it comes down to money, but improve our technology, improve our tracking of public requests, because I know, not flood control, but on different things, I fill out one of these public request forms, and I never see it unless if I call the resident back to see if it was addressed, or drive by to see if it was addressed. So it sounds like we need to somehow either make this more electronic where we can track.
Yes.
And again, it comes down to money, but I know there's online systems where a resident can go on the website, fill this out, it will be sent to the appropriate departments, and then you can track the status as they go through. So what you're saying is we need some type of better tracking system on both current projects within the departments, but also public request forms.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Yep. Parish-wide.
Parish-wide. Correct. This is not just a flood control issue. This is parish-wide, all departments, all that. But again,
Yes, sir.
we got to find a way to do it within our budget.
Yeah, it just seems to me that I'm wondering, and who am I to say this, but, prioritizing the funds to the departments that provide the best safety for the parish, like the flood control and the pumping stations. Without these folks, and they're a lot of information that I went through, they were saying that they just don't, they don't have the staffing for it, they don't have the funding for it, and so they're putting the parish at huge risk during storms because we're not taking money from an area that doesn't really, show a high risk to the parish and putting that money to an area that shows, a higher risk to the parish, like flood control.
Yep.
And so where, how do we prioritize our budget?
Yeah, I know we got a pumping station report about a month ago, and for the most part, it looks like most of our pumps are in operation. There's a couple out, but those pumps that are out seem to need complete replacement, and it's going to cost a lot of money. But for what they do have in their budget, it seems like they're doing a great job reading through this and through that flood report, or the pumping station report we got, considering the situation of the age of our pumps.
I agree.
So I do want to
Doing the
say
best-
that they're doing a good
doing the
job
best
for
they can.
what they do have.
Right.
I mean, I know there are issues in different parts of the parish, as Mr. Conner said about his pumping station, and I know Bell Chase has one pump out, and they're working on it. So, again, we got to figure out, as a new council administration, how to prioritize and everything.
I guess
So,
that's what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It goes
Go
back
ahead.
to what I said with the Corps engineers and CPRA. Last year, they gave us a presentation of the levees and the pump stations and showed all what we needed to fix.
Right.
Well, CPRA and the Corps engineers built the levees and the pump stations. We never took ownership of them.
Oh, okay.
That we never voted to accept them.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So why aren't they fixing their levees and pump stations?
It's a good question to ask them. Yes, sir. Okay, so that ends the presentation here for this particular audit. And, I do think this is the flood control department, as everybody knows, is extremely important, especially during the up and coming hurricane season. So,
You talked about staffing. Are we properly staffed for the pumping stations, from what you could tell,
No.
looking at it?
no, you're not.
Okay. Now, let's rephrase the question. Do we have the budgeted positions and can't find the people? Do you know that off the top of your head? I mean, because there's a difference between not having enough staffing and not having the budget, but right now we can't find workers in all departments.
That's probably the reason.
Exactly.
It was all budgeted
have
in the
problems.
budget.
Okay.
Finding workers. I think that's a big problem.
And I think that's a problem
Also,
throughout
with the rate of
the
pay
world.
that, people are getting from Plaquemines. I mean, this is not like Shell, you
Yeah.
know, or Exxon, who, pays a tremendous amount of money so they get the best talent. You know, we're doing the best we can
With our
a
budget.
small amount of money, and that's all we can do.
All right, thank you. Any other comments on this? All right, next item. You are done, correct?
Yes.
Okay, next item, Ms.
2B, PPG Employee Reimbursements Internal Audit.
Okay, on April 28th of 2023, I completed an audit on employee expense reimbursements. Let's see, scroll down to page number 4. Under conclusions, during this examination, the auditor noted that the department administration and the finance department have good monitoring policies and controls in place over the employee expense reimbursement process. During the years of 2023, the auditor reviewed a randomly selected sample of 25 employee expense reimbursement reports and supporting documents and noted the following. The employee expense reimbursement policies are being followed. The employee expense reimbursement calculations and payments are accurate. There is sufficient employee expense reimbursement documentation to support the reimbursement and payments. The employee expense reimbursements are approved. The employee expense reimbursement process is operating efficiently. The auditor cannot provide assurance that fraud, waste, and abuse will not occur in this process. However, based upon my review, the auditor estimates, based upon a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being the highest risk level, that there's a low or level 2 risk assessment of fraud, waste, and abuse in this process. Observations. Based upon the information provided by management, the following audit observations were noted during this audit. I took that as stated above, based on the randomly selected review of 25 employee expense reimbursements and supporting documents. I noted no issues, and therefore there was no response. No management response. If you take a look at page number 5, under background, current expenditure, current procedures, you will notice that the Director of Administration Employee Expense Reimbursement monitoring procedures are very thorough. The Accounts Payable Employee Expense Reimbursements monitoring procedures are also very thorough. And if we scroll all the way back to the last attachment, which shows the work that I did on this, on attachment number 5, compliance testing. If you note, I took a sample of 25 randomly selected employee reimbursements and supporting documents. I reviewed those, and there was no issues noted on that.
When you sent that out at first, the DA's was not in compliance. The first one?
Yeah, that's correct. There was several, and they sent me some additional information on it, so I had to rephrase it.
All right.
And I sent out a revised audit report. And so that happens every now and then. If I don't get all the information and I just see what I see, I'm going to have some issues. But, once I send the report out, and that's the reason sometimes it's good to have exit conferences with the folks. That's what I'm used to in the past, whereas it doesn't seem like too many people want to have an exit conference with me. But so what they do is I'll send out the report, let them review it, take a look at it, and if they have any issues or additional information, they will email me and say, hey, Randy, this is not exactly correct. I do have some additional information that I want you to look at. And that's what happened in this instance.
All right. Thank you.
So it looks like you got everything from council members, staff within the parish, DAs, justice peace. So overall, it looks like we are actually doing pretty good in this department. I know from my experience that this reimbursement request can be ripe for abuse and everything. So I'm actually happy. Thank you, Miss Taylor, and
Yes,
Miss
exactly.
Miss Morel, which is not here, but thank you. For
Oh, there she is.
so, because like I said, from my experience, it's ripe for abuse. I do have a question, but I forgot what it was. Oh, how many total? You had a sample of 25, and I know how many total reimbursement requests do we average see in a year? I'm just kind of curious.
Oh, my goodness, I'll have to ask.
I mean, what is it mostly? Is it mostly related to just training and mileage? It looks like based on.
It's mostly mileage, I would think, training and mileage.
Okay. Okay, I just wanted to, and normal purchases should be going through the procurement, the normal purchasing policy, correct? Okay, just making sure.
Yes, also, I'd like to thank Ms. Taylor for this, with the great job she's doing with this, from this report and this information we got. Looks like this is one of them top doing the right thing. So again, Ms. Taylor, thank you for staying on top of that. Thank you.
Any other comments?
No, sir.
All right. Next item.
3, audits in progress. 3A, EMS internal audit.
Okay, the EMS audit has been completed. I sent that audit out. I'm awaiting responses. They have to send those responses to me by January 20, by the 25th of June.
That one.
Going way back. Yeah, I'm getting stuck. Way back in January, I guess. Something must have happened in January.
I've read over the EMS audit, and then as Chairman spoke, this is going to be probably a lengthy discussion. Is there a possibility, when do you perceive you having this complete and ready to go forward?
As soon as I get the management responses, and they're due by June
June 25th, yes.
5th of this month. As soon as I get those, a final report goes out to everybody. And then it's up to you guys if you want to immediately have
I think we
a meeting. We
that
can do it.
one looks
I
like
agree
I
with you,
think
Mr. Chairman.
so. Let's plan on initially July, first July Bell Chase meeting in July, having another internal audit committee meeting.
That sounds really good, yeah.
On that audit, I don't know if I should ask it now or then. I'll wait till then.
Yeah, I really can't go over it until we get the responses anyway. It's not fair to anybody.
Yeah, so let's plan on July's Bell Chase meeting. Have I don't know the date.
The second Thursday.
Yeah, second Thursday, whatever, the 13th, I guess.
Yeah,
Somewhere around there, plan on internal audit committee meeting.
I think that's
So-
needed. I think that's the right direction to go.
Yeah, I don't want to wait on that one, especially looking at the draft. Let's talk about it, come up with a plan. So, 13th. Hey. All right, thank you. Next item, the
3B, baseball quad internal audit.
I am working on that audit. I'm gathering the information and the data. Not sure exactly when it will be completed. Hopefully in a month, maybe 2 months. I don't know, but I'm going to work very hard to get it out.
We'll give you 2 more.
Yes, sir.
do you know off the top of your head what's after that? I know I have the plan.
Water department.
Water department, okay. Which we already have started addressing some of the issues there, so
Good.
we'll see how the report ties into your, or what we've done ties into your report, so
Okay.
that'll be good. Next item.
Very helpful.
4, approval of the minutes from the February 9th, 2023 meeting.
I'll offer.
Offered by Mr. Kongovich, second by Mr. Newsom. Machines are open. Passes 3-0.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion by Mr. Kongovich for adjournment. Second by Mr. Newsom. Machines are open,
It's always nice to have somebody come and help me out.
and we have adjournment at 9:30.